Hello everyone! Welcome to Chess Comic, where we learn, laugh, and checkmate. For today's video, we're going to learn one of the games that I played when I was a young kid. Actually, this was the time when I was starting to be competitive in chess. Unfortunately, the first game, I got trapped. And the trap is called the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or I call it the Ballistic Bloop Bloop because I feel bad about that trap. I got trapped. I got murdered. My opponent made me look like an idiot. So, if you guys are ready, without further ado, let's start. So, I am going to start with a game on how I got destroyed. So white played pawn to e4. As a kid, I played my move quick. I mean, my first move, because based from what I've learned and what my coach taught me, if you are familiar with your position, if you are familiar with the opening moves, why why would you take so long to make the move? Just move it right away and don't waste time. And here, my opponent played knight f3, and this was surprising because I'm like, "Who? Really? You're giving me up your pawn on e4?" Okay, so let me just give you an advice. Okay, it's like this: when your opponent gives you a free piece, of course, the first thing you need to think of is to capture the free piece. But before you capture the free piece, you also have to think, oh, why is he giving me a free piece? Is there a trap? And if you can't find the trap, the practical move or the practical decision is just to capture it. Because if your opponent is just bluffing, you'll instantly win material. And if your opponent is not bluffing, or we can say it's technically setting up a trap, then you'll learn from it. So either way, it's a win-win situation for you. It's either you win easily because your opponent is bluffing, or you lose right away because your opponent, or you fell for your opponent's trap. So I took the pawn, boop, being me. My opponent moves knight to g5. Of course, he has to move his knight away, and he's also attacking my pawn. And here, all the moves that I played seems logical. It's like, okay, you're attacking my pawn. Let me develop my knight. I mean, there are a few ways to defend it. Um, One is bishop to f5. One is queen to d5 to protect attack. But I just chose to move my knight to f6. Same thing to develop and protect. And here, my opponent played pawn to d3. When he played pawn to d3, to be honest, I didn't spend a lot of time or much time to think. Because the first thing I thought was, wait a second, I'm already up by a pawn. And my pawn on e4 is supposed to be his target to win it back and make it even. But now he's asking me to trade it off for another pawn. That's why I took it right away. Bloop. And then here, he also didn't waste time. He just took my pawn right away with his bishop. So you guys may think, okay, coach, why not take with a queen? I mean, if he did take with a queen, I'll just simply trade it off, and I'm definitely much better here because I'm up by a pawn. The queens have been traded off, which means there's less danger for me to be attacked. And of course, like what I said, I'm up by a pawn, so this is better for black. And if it takes with the pawn, this is just too bad or so bad for him because aside from the pawn blocking his bishop's path, he created an isolated pawn. Look, his pawn was good here, it's connected, but here now it's isolated. Keep in mind, the isolated pawn is considered as the weakest pawn structure because it is isolated. There's no pawn that can help it. Okay, now let's go back to the game. My opponent took bishop takes d3. And now, let's be practical here, because I just don't want to make myself look so bad. Alright? So, as a kid, one of the things that was taught to me was If your opponent's piece is inside your camp, which is definitely is, his knight is inside my camp. So this is the camp of black. It starts on the 8th to the 5th rank, and the camp of white starts on the 1st to the 4th rank, right? So this is an equal side of the board. Going back, if a piece or an opponent's piece is inside your camp, kick it out. Because I'm not comfortable with this knight. I don't like it. It's ugly. So I kicked it out by playing pawn to h6. And my opponent smiled. And I don't like his smile. It is an ugly smile. Because he took my pawn on f7. And now he's forking my queen and my rook. Here, it made me think. I'm like, oh, if I don't capture his knight, I die. So let me just capture it. And I already knew if I capture it, there could be something. And then after capturing it, my opponent just simply played bishop to g6, attacking my king and creating a discovered attack to my queen. Here, if you become a chess player and you are in a competitive state, this is what normally happens. Regardless of the weather, even if it's cold, if you blunder or if your opponent played a nailing move, you will sweat. Believe me, you will sweat. So sweat kept falling down from my forehead going to my eyes that it made it look like tears. And I resigned. After I resigned, I gave an alibi or an excuse to the barber because normally you play 2 games. I mean, that's a gentleman's way to play a chess match, one white and one black. But I gave an alibi to the barber. I told him, Mr. Barber, can I just go home first? Because I need to pee. And then he said, okay, just don't forget to come back because I just beat you. I said, yes. So I went back home. And then the main reason why I went back home is because my attitude is in a competitive state. I studied. I went over the game by myself. And during that time, I already have a computer, an engine. It's the Fritz. It's called. That's an old school engine. It's Fritz. I think it's Fritz 3 or 5, something like that. So I went over the engine and then I studied. After that, I went back to the barber. And it's the redemption time. So now I told him, hey, Mr. Barber, can we play again? And instead of playing white, I want to play black. And he said, huh? Really? Still not done? You haven't learned your lesson? I just kept quiet. And then we started again. Same thing. E4, I played D5. And he said, ha, okay, let me play the same thing. Because you might do the exact same thing. It was like a funny insult. In my mind, I was thinking, take this! And move his knight to G5. So the first few moves were actually quick. I still played knight f6. He moved his pawn to d3. And this is what I studied. Instead of capturing the pawn, I played bishop to g4. Oh, sorry. Bishop to g4. Attacking his queen. So, in this position, there are a few moves for white, right? One is bishop to e2. If he moves his bishop to e2, I'll just simply trade it off. Capture the bishop. After he captures back with the queen, I'll take the pawn. And this is better for me. So let me just show you. If he plays bishop e2, I'll capture. He captures back with the queen. Take the pawn. And regardless which piece he uses to take back, I am much better. If it takes with the queen, I'll trade it off. I'm up by a pawn. So like what I explained earlier, when you're up by a pawn, queens were traded off. there'll be less danger, which means you're better. If it takes with a pawn, this pawn is isolated. I'll just continue to develop my pieces, maybe knight c6, and later play e6, bishop e7, castle. I'm just much better. And this d3 pawn can also be a target for my attack. Maybe I'll play king d5, rook d8, knight b4. Yeah, I'll put more pressure on this pawn. Okay, enough being said. So after I played bishop g4. Oh, by the way, I forgot this, queen d2. Queen d2 is also possible, but it blocks his bishop. So he didn't play that. So what he played was pawn to f3. Here, after he played pawn to f3, I already knew, because this is what I studied. Because when I studied using the engine, I didn't really went over a lot with bishop e2, because based from what I explained to you, I already knew it, so I have an idea. Queen to d2 as well, I didn't went over a lot because I didn't go over a lot because I know it blocks this bishop, and then I'll just continue with my normal development. So this is the move that I went over because it is inviting to the point that it kicks my bishop and also it maintains white's attack. So I put a lot of time studying f3. I just simply took it. He took with a pawn, in which this is what I went over. Because if it takes with the knight, it's like he wasted a move. Because his knight is already on g5, putting pressure to my kingdom, right? Although it's not a kingdom, it's just an artificial, but yeah, my kingdom or my camp. So he uses his pawn to capture, kicking my bishop out. Then I just went back to h5 to maintain the pin and pressure. Here there are a few moves for white. There are a lot of ways for white to continue, but I am already comfortable. Number one, because this bishop is already useless. I mean, the trap is no longer gonna work, right? And for the most important thing, I am up by a pawn. So in the higher level of chess, if you're up by a pawn, you are already in the driver's seat if there is no compensation at all. And for me, this position has no compensation. And let's just go back to the game. My opponent played bishop to f4, which I thought is horrible, is bad, because I spotted a fork right away. If you want to give yourself a chance to spot the fork, let's give 5 seconds. Find a fork. All right. So I played queen d4, forking the bishop and the pawn. This is not an undefendable fork, okay? Because my opponent is also smart and he was able to find the right way to defend, which is queen to c1, defending his bishop and defending his pawn at the same time. Although, this is something I want you to keep in mind. If your opponent gave you a chance to be on the attacking side, the right way is to keep putting pressure. So I played or moved knight to d5, attacking his bishop. I don't want to give him a chance. So here I thought, or I calculated, that his bishop is much better on g3 and needs to be in this diagonal. But he moved his bishop back to d2. I don't know the reason, but of course, I can give an assumption or a guess. Maybe he thought that after he plays knight c3 later, if I take it, he will take with his bishop, and he cannot put a lot of pressure on this diagonal. But unfortunately for Mr. Barber, it didn't happen. So here I gave him a big fat check on h4. After playing this move, I knew I'm just going to win. It's just a matter of time. Number one, king cannot castle. For someone who's taking chess as competitive, in a competitive way, who studies chess, when your opponent's king can't castle, it's almost over. It's almost party time. So he played king d1. And then here, I gave him a removing of the guard chess tactic. My target is the f3 pawn. The only piece protecting is the knight, so I kick it out. Boom. There's a big difference. When I kick his knight on our first game, I got murdered. But this one, yeah, it's payback time. So he played knight e4. I took f3, and it's a forky dorky. After he played bishop to e2, I just took the rook, and he resigned. Yeah, boy. So I was like, yeah, I made it even. And then after the game, he told me, okay, kid, come back again tomorrow. You're lucky you were able to make it even. But tomorrow, someone will end up being the loser. And I just gave him a smile. But deep inside, I I was thinking, yeah, you're right. And you will be the one with an evil laugh. Okay, so much for today's lesson. If you guys did enjoy or learn and learn, okay, please don't forget to like and share the good chess vibe. And until next time, bye bye for now.